Hey, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Roosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Jack Settle. Jack is a singer-songwriter, country artist, and a hell of a nice guy.
Check it out.
And I think I'm still trying to figure out what my state's presence is. I think sometimes I have like a really, again, depending on the day, it's really just like depending on. I wish I were more steadfast than that. But sometimes I'm really energetic, and sometimes I don't feel energetic. I try to be authentic, so it's like if I'm not feeling energetic.
That might be the only common thread, honestly, that I can think of. Is to me, the only common thread I can find with all of that is the people that I find are the most compelling performers in whatever it is they're doing. This probably transcends music too. Are those for whom can be the most themselves.
Yes.
And that looks like a variety of things, right? Like some performers can pull you in this way, some performers can pull you in this way, but I think it's the genius is he who can be most himself.
Yeah.
I think that's really true when there's not, it's really true when there's an audience on there because it kind of amplifies.
Amplified version of yourself.
Yeah, because it does. It sort of amplifies whatever that thing, I mean, and like not to say we all have a shtick, but it's hopefully something that is really core to who you are as a person. It's a very strange sort of witchcraft, I guess, that happens.
You can tell whenever somebody is putting on a show and they know it.
Yeah,
everybody else knows it. I hope that's not me. I try to be real.
Yeah. No, I've seen you before. I don't think that's the case. Oh my God. Yeah, it's such a strange, because even like we do a variety of different stuff here, but like a lot of a good chunk of what we do here is country music, just because that's what is in Nashville at this point.
Just because it's the best kind of music.
Best kind of music. Yeah. But no, we do a lot of country music just because, again, that's what a lot of Nashville is at this point. And even within a subset of music like country music, there's so many different ways to do it. Again, just as a performer, all the other stuff out the window. If you're just looking at like how does somebody hold an audience's attention, it can be so varied.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got Wheeler Walker Jr. and you've got people who are just. I mean, I'm just there's extremes, and it's such a broad range of music these days. What is considered country?
Because you got here, we were just saying when you got here that you got here like the same time Ryan and I did. We got here like 7 years ago, so we probably got here. Yeah, right around the same time, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, summer of 2018 was when I moved here.
Yeah, cool, real close. Yeah, did you come here straight from Oklahoma or?
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2018 and came out here. I skipped college.
That's what we should have fucking done, Brian. God damn, we wasted 4 years of our goddamn life.
No, see, this is the reason you're the jazz guitarist and I'm not.
Yeah, Brian and I have a podcast.
But is that a good thing? I don't know if you're missing much.
I've tried to learn Western swing and all that kind of stuff. Man, I did that. My wife has 2 degrees, so she balances it out, I guess. But
she's like Brian and I put together, dude. There you go. Yeah. So you came out here straight from Oklahoma. What had you ever like stepped foot in Nashville, or was that the first time?
I had been here once or twice before. When I was 16, my dad. I'm thankful to say this. I had great parents, and I know a lot of people can't say that. Yeah. I know that's a privilege. I have great parents, but I was supposed to be on the college track, and my dad said, "I will take you northwest, east or south." He knew I wanted to kind of get out of where I was, where I grew up. So he said, "I'll take you one of these directions, pick a college." And he's like, "If you don't want to pick college, I'll pick some for you." So he had picked Belmont to go east, to go look at Belmont. And I didn't really know much about anything out here at the time. I didn't really know what Nashville was. And it's funny now because when I first visited, we walked down. We visited Belmont's beautiful campus. I didn't have enough money to go there, and my grades weren't good enough to go there.
I remember I auditioned for Belmont.
Did you?
I only auditioned for like 3 colleges.
Yeah.
And one of those, 3 colleges, I think. And Belmont was one of them. And I had no interest in going to college whatsoever. And I remember being at that fucking school and being like, there's no way in hell I'm going to I remember my parents came out with me to like, just check out Nashville and just kind of like, get the lay of the land. And so they came with me for my audition. And I remember we went to like some diner or something for breakfast after, and the audition went fine. Like the audition went great, but I remember sitting there and all 3 of us were like just awkwardly in that moment. We're like, yeah, this isn't it. Like, this is gonna be.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean the campus
Belmont's
is beautiful.
a great school. No.
I mean, well, and I will say, like, I've had people play in my band, several different people who went to Belmont. They're really good. I mean, they're really good.
Yeah, I've
baby
heard the
sister went
music
to Belmont.
program over there is really good.
The what?
The music program.
Oh yeah.
Over there.
Oh, absolutely. And so I toured it, but then we walked down. This is so funny looking back. We walked down Broadway, and I looked around and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
There's music on all floors, all hours of the day. And it's not long after I moved here, I really started to kind of, in my personal listening taste and the stuff I was writing, shift from that more commercial stuff. I mean, within the first year or 2 of being here, I would have called myself more Americana. I don't know what I call myself now, honky tonk or traditional country or neo-traditional, something like that. But I quickly realized that I don't think Broadway is my place. Mm-hmm. I think that people are a little bit overworked down there for not great money. Not to say I do. Again, I have friends that play down there and that's their living and they love it. Like they love doing the cover thing.
Yeah, you find what works for you and you find out quickly if that is going to be your thing or not.
Yeah. So now I don't really go down there a whole lot. But when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is so cool. When I was 16. So that was I got here and I started working a print shop job to pay the bills and then songwriting and
I love it.
Trying to figure it out.
So when did the songwriting thing enter into the equation for you? Like, is that something that's always been there, or did that start to creep in more once you got on stage and thought, I want to write? Yeah,
that was I wrote my first song, my first real song. I wrote a song when I was like 7, but it was crap.
That's the number one that got away, dude.
Yeah, right.
That's the number one that got away.
It was so bad. I don't even remember it, but it was so bad. But I wrote a song when I was 17, and it was more, I've always been in love with the music. Like, it was really funny when I was a kid, listening to songs. I loved rock a lot when I was a kid.
Good.
But yeah, I still do. I honestly, I liked a lot of the like 2000s butt rock stuff.
Nice.
That was just kind of my jam, and honestly still throw that on sometimes. But so I loved rock, but I never ever cared about what the words were. Like, I really did not care what the lyrics were. I just wanted it to sound
Brian
cool.
and I have known each other for 11
yeah.
years now, and Brian has played, I think, every gig I've played in those 11 years, and I don't think Brian knows the words to my song still, like, which I kind of love. Like, I kind of fucking love that.
I don't pay attention to lyrics. I just like the music.
Yeah.
Like a little bit I do, but not too much.
It's a different, it's that's a whole other, that is a sort of a whole other can of worms intellectually to open up. And once you do that, it's like Pandora's box. You just can't get the genie back in the bottle. But
absolutely.
But some people don't have any interest in it at all. And I think that's one of the reasons why I do love that in regards to Brian is it's just, not to say it's not necessary, but it's not really necessary for what you this equation, or like, you're part of that equation. It's like, no, it's like you need to, that's not really there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I had never ever considered it until I realized, guitar was my first instrument. I started taking guitar lessons. I did guitar lessons from like 1st grade to 7th grade. And then I quit because I was too busy in 7th grade, taking care of my tarantulas and like having friends or something.
Why are we talking about music? You had tarantulas as a kid?
I did. I was like, oh, it's so much.
Wait, so
I didn't know what stress was.
Hang on. We're putting a pause on this for a second. Did you say, so multiple tarantulas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
give me the lowdown on spiders.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved the creepy crawlies, man. So fun fact, this is like I peaked in 8th grade. I took a picture of a spider, and it won an international photography award for the 18 and under category.
Damn.
That's super cool.
So I've always been into that stuff. I don't know why. It's not like a not in a satanic way. I just like snakes and spiders.
It's a little satanic.
It's a little bit.
It's okay. That's killer.
But yeah, I had I think around 4 tarantulas. I had a scorpion and a snake.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
All at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah,
That is
in my
not the house
bedroom,
you wanna
I would
break
go to
into.
sleep with that stuff. She's like,
Alexa's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, fuck that.
if
I
I
don't
ever,
mind snakes, but I don't fuck with spiders.
you know, I've learned in talking to this about just casually to people, everybody's one or the other.
Yeah.
Everybody says something like that. Everybody's either snakes are cool, spiders are not. Everybody's like, spiders are cool, but hell no to snakes. Like something everybody's got.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say either of them really fuck with me, but if I had to pick one, snakes to me are definitely worse than spiders.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know
See,
why.
I don't mind them. They're kind of cool pets too.
Oh, no, I'm
I had
sure
a
they're
buddy
very
in
cool,
high
yeah.
school had a snake, and he'll like chill with you on your shoulder and
Yeah,
stuff. And
that would be
like,
cool. That would
They're
be
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get one.
Yeah, I had a shooting video like the last 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And they put the snakes. In
Yeah,
the
she
video.
shot with like a big ass boa constrictor.
Oh, my god, I
gosh.
saw that. Okay, we actually, me and Darby were actually just talking about that because we saw that on your story and we were like, "What the fuck was going on with that?"
doing?
I didn't even think to ask you, but I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Pretty cool. That was pretty cool. The video is a hard rock video, and they decided to just come with a snake and everything. The video is gonna be amazing.
That's gonna be so
That's
cool.
good. That's killer.
Amazing.
Man, okay, I didn't realize that.
We need to get a snake in here for
Yeah,
the,
just
for
to-
the Roosic
that
video.
snake-
Yeah, that'd be nice. We should get like a snake charmer. Like, what do they like? Those flute? What do they play?
Like a recorder?
Yeah,
or
whatever. What do they
something?
play? Like the snake charmers play. They're like, yeah. We should
I
get
don't
some of
know.
those people in to come and like do like snake stuff.
Yeah.
That would be
Dude.
wild.
It's almost snake preacher, snake
Yeah,
church,
exactly,
but not.
exactly. Oh my god, that's
So
the
you were
move.
saying earlier you wrangle snakes,
Totally, yeah.
like just for fun?
yeah. It's called herping.
Herping.
Yeah.
I never even
I-
heard of that.
Yeah, herpetology is reptiles and
You're
amphibians.
fucking with it. There's no way that's
no,
real.
yeah, no.
Really?
Herps are reptiles and amphibians. That's
Oh,
like the,
I had no idea.
yeah.
Okay,
So when
this
I-
is how dumb Brian.
So you know, if I say I have herps, that's not what you think. But no, yeah, I go. It's just kind of one of my like people go. I like to go fishing, and I like
Okay.
to go herping.
Yeah.
And
Wait, so what does herping entail?
you can do a lot of. You can find these things a lot of different ways.
Okay.
So. And you can stop me whenever you want.
No,
I can talk
please.
about this for a while. I would say the easiest method is on a summer night when it's been really hot during the day, kind of like 80s, 90s. It cools down to kind of around the 70s.
We're in like pro
at night.
key herping. Like,
Oh yeah, we
this
can.
is fantastic.
Yeah. And it's just called road cruising, and you,
Okay.
you just you drive 15 miles an hour down roads way out in the middle of nowhere, and you just drive till you find a snake in the road, and there will probably be one. I mean,
Yeah.
they come out on the
Oh,
road.
because the blacktop's still hot and stuff. So
I think so. Don't quote me on that. Didn't go to college, but for some reason they come out on the road, and then I'll go catch them and take pictures of them.
Huh.
That's one way. That was, I mean, honestly, some of my really favorite memories from growing up in Oklahoma in high school. That was the first thing I did when I got my driver's license.
Yeah.
But just going out to the gravel roads outside of town, catching snakes, rattlesnakes. I mean, there were rattlesnakes out there.
is that sounds like it could be dangerous. You know?
I wasn't.
No.
All right, two questions.
yeah,
then.
yeah.
One, how do you catch a snake?
Okay.
And two, what kind of snakes do we even have in this part of Tennessee?
Sure, yeah.
I
So-
have no knowledge of this whatsoever.
So people have different ways of doing it. I prefer not to like give any harm to the snake, right? So some people
Yeah.
might pick them up by their tail or by their head. But if you
Savages,
think
savages.
if you think about it, it's like one long spine basically. So if you think about putting all the weight on one end, it's not good for it, So if it's a non-venomous snake, I'm not crazy, guys. Like I like playing guitar and having it on my fingers,
so
right?
far it's not
So you
I
don't.
promise I'm not crazy.
So you don't fuck with like rattlers or anything like
I
that.
do, but I don't touch them with my fingers,
Oh, okay.
with my hands.
Gotcha.
I love this. Okay, sorry, keep going.
So with a non-venomous snake, and I just, this is just you just learn. I have, she's cracking over there. I have field guides. I have the internet. Like I learn what snakes look like, and it's really not that hard to walk up and I'm like, okay, that's a gray rat snake. That's Panthrophis spilloides, or
Okay.
that's a timber rattlesnake. That's Crotalus horridus. I mean,
So they're relatively easy to classify when you actually get eyes on
yeah,
them.
yeah. And both in Oklahoma, where I'm from, and here in Tennessee, I mean, the vast majority of species that we have are non-venomous. Here, I think in Tennessee, there's only 4 venomous species, and Oklahoma has 7. But then there's like dozens and dozens of non-venomous. Nobody knows about this. There's so many cool snakes out there.
Yeah.
So non-venomous, I just go pick it up. I mean, you're in the middle of the body, just pick it up. Sometimes it bites you. They have little teeth, but they're not fangs.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Some people don't like to get bit, so they might, pick it up and hold the head or something. But for the venomous ones, I have a couple different tools. They have what's called a snake hook. So it's like mine's actually, I bought it from a guy. It was like a golf club, and then he
nice.
put a curve on the end of it.
Custom snake hook. Yeah. That's real shit right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and so it's just a stick with a little hook on the end. You can scoop them up, and then I have tongs, which are like the old people reachers.
Yeah.
Squeeze it on one end, and it chomps on the other end.
Yeah.
I don't prefer those unless I absolutely need to use them because again, I try not to hurt the snake. So
makes sense.
I have done I'm not an exterminator, and I don't think I'm legally allowed to do this, but I've been called out to people's houses and done like rattlesnake removals.
Wow.
How interesting.
So
Damn.
so that's that.
Well, okay, there are so many questions I have about this. Okay, first of all, is the snake interest something that's been there your whole life, or is this something that you kind of just stumbled onto as you got older?
No, I mean this has been something. It kind of started with like insects and spiders and stuff like that, and then the guy that like my family who knew about the insects and spiders also knew about snakes, and he would take me on these like group trips where people just go, like a whole group goes and does what I'm talking about.
Cool.
Oh,
Going
wow.
for snakes. And you can do more than road cruising. You can go out and flip over pieces of wood or pieces of metal and find snakes. And
How long do snakes live for? I have no idea.
I see that. I don't know that stuff off the top of my head.
Okay.
Some amount of years.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that answer.
Man, I'm realizing now how little I know about snakes, Brian. This is really
Crazy stuff.
This is wow. Okay, I don't know how we're gonna like salvage this because now this is all I'm gonna want to talk about.
We can talk about my fish hauling and then get back into music if you want, or we can just talk about music. I don't care. I'll talk about whatever.
We'll talk about anything. So I guess going back to the songwriting thing, hard pivot, guys, hard pivot. Oh my goodness!
Nice.
Back to what we're
Yes,
here.
Smooth transition
That's
there.
what I'm here for, Brian. That's what they pay me the big bucks for. So going back to songwriting, I guess if we have to, just drag me about. Yeah. When at this point in life, because it seemed you were saying that when you started out, the music component was really the thing that grabbed you. Mm-hmm. Now, what's your relationship like to lyric? Because especially in country music, the lyric is so defined. What's your relationship now?
I love it now. I actually pay attention to it now. And I kind of forced myself into writing lyrics originally because I was like, well, if I'm going to write a song, I mean, I wasn't good enough on guitar to write a whole album of instrumental guitar songs. So I was like, I need to write some words to this. I love it now. I mean, one of the songs that I sang, The Rose, was just a poem. I mean, I actually did that without the music at first and then later put the music to it. And yeah, I think it's really beautiful. I think it took a little bit of maturing on my part. I'm not saying you're immature for not paying attention to that, but for me and my personal
It's okay.
journey,
I know I am.
for me and my personal journey, I think I had to kind of be like, wow, there is so much here. It's a whole other dimension of the music. I mean, if you just contemporary songwriting, contemporary songs, that's half of it, So I think it's very important now. And I notice whenever the songwriting is cheap, and I notice whenever it's crafted. And you can probably find both in my catalog of songs that I've released. But these days I really try to strive for a crafted song.
On the lyric side of things, do you feel as though one of the things I think is difficult when you're working in such a defined genre such as country music, but this is true of all genres, is there's sort of the expectation of the thing, and then there's the way in which you deliver your interpretation of that expectation. When you're songwriting, do you feel on the lyric side of things that you at this point can play within that sandbox, so definitively, yes, I'm making some form of country music, however you want to catalog that, whilst also saying and presenting the ideas that you want to? Do you because it's hard for people who do work in those defined sandboxes like that. It can be hard. Do you feel like you've kind of threaded that needle at this point?
I think I'm always trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I love the sandbox metaphor because there is, I think about this all the time, actually. They say don't put yourself in a box, but I'm also saying I want to make country music, which is in and of itself a box.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of like, how can and sandbox is great because it's not a little box. It is a big box, I think, that you can kind of play around in.
There's a lot of grains of sand in that sandbox.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of shit. You know?
Yeah. I think I'm still trying to figure it out. There's been times where I've just been like, I think I'm going to start like a punk rock side project just to get it out. You know, there's still, I mean, and I think every artist, and you guys have, I mean, anybody who's paid attention to this or thought about it for long enough, you watch any artist, they change over time. What they put out changes. You know, Molly Tuttle is totally switching gears now. That's just the example that popped into my head, but people do it all the time because I don't think that art is always supposed to be in that same box. I think if a person's being authentic and true and honest,
They're going to change. Yeah.
they're going to change and they should be allowed to. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to like it. I mean,
Yeah.
No, that's a very well stated point. I mean, I think that's something that as a spectator, as a consumer, you bump up into all the time, which is if somebody is participating in the system of art in the way that you would want them to be, where they are present and they are growing, there's going to be times where that person whose last album you absolutely love, okay, well, here comes the, album 4, album 5, and you're like, what the fuck is this shit?
Where did they go? Yeah.
But like, to me, there's something I love about that. Like, I love when, and sometimes as time progresses, you can revisit these things and you can find value in it that you didn't get on first listen.
Yeah.
And other times not. Sometimes you just think, that's not my thing. But I, as a consumer, I love that. I love when those people that I enjoy sort of leave me behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a hard thing to do as I think a lot of people have trouble with that as artists, because, if this is how you're paying your bills, if this is how you're, feeding your family, you want that umbrella, you want that tent to be as big as possible.
Right.
And that's just not how art works.
Yeah.
And so when you start leaving people behind, like the natural reaction for so many people, if you don't have the proper disposition for that kind of thing, is no, like keep everyone in here. And you can't do that. Like I don't think there's any way to be true to whatever it is that you're serving, that muse that you're trying to serve, if all you're trying to do is keep as many bodies under that tent as possible. But I think it might be a disposition thing. I don't know. Some people, it's easier for them.
What I would love is if we just abolished genres completely.
We're getting there.
I'm on board with that,
We're
yeah.
getting there.
Please, because I think if it didn't have that label on it, I don't know if Spotify does it, but I know Apple Music, it's got the genre on there, and they're trying to make some more specific genres and stuff like that. I don't want to know what somebody says it is. I just want to take it for what it is.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
I find for myself too, personally, as a listener, it doesn't matter what genre it is to me. There is no genre where it's like, I like this and I don't like that. It's just like, I just like good music, and I don't really give a shit about the label you want to put on it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think as time's gone on, and this is something that Brian and I have talked about in depth a lot, but as time goes on and technology, we interplay with technology where it's at the moment, you start to realize that genre almost becomes a meaningless thing in a way, right? Just because of the way that people consume music now, it is much more that. It's just people find what they like and they find what they don't like, and they're going to listen to the stuff they like. And I do think on the whole, we're moving in that direction where people are. Even just look at you can see this bear it out on the charts. I mean, if you look at even top country music right now, or other genres of music as well, the stuff that people look at fucking Post Malone. You know what I mean? Like genuine. It's here's a guy who was just absolutely wrecking in this other world of music, transfers over to this new thing, and it's okay. Again, whether or not you like Post Malone, I like
Seems like a cool guy.
But you realize that these things are so malleable. There's not really these hard edges that people, for whatever reason, perceive there to be.
Yeah.
And so I think we're shifting into, or we're going to continue to head in that direction where the genre is going to be less of a a, something to bump up against, which is great. I mean, I think as a whole, that's what you want. You just want to be able to make cool shit and see if people want to listen to it. But
until we get there, I'm going to still be really upset when something I don't think is country is called country until we get there. But
yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
Well, we have those labels. Yeah.
Yeah. What, so at this point, when you sit down to write a song, what is, if you had to give kind of, because I don't think that there is for any songwriter a hyper specific system that you go through A to B to C to D, et cetera, every time.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of variability there. But for you, if you had to just sort of summarize a common process for you to get from nothing to something with songwriting, how do you do that at this point in life?
I don't even know.
That's really the only answer, guys.
It seriously been, it's been so different every time. It's trying to think about now. I mean, in the past, it's been anything from just starting with the lyrics, writing a poem, or starting with a guitar riff. I've had songs where, like Handyman, the first song I sang was, I told you this earlier, I was playing a little rhyming game with myself on paper, just like, it was just like stupid Dr. Seuss, just like going all the way down the page. And then at some point, there came an interesting, I wasn't writing about anything, just rhyming. And then I was like, that's a cool line. I don't remember which one it was, but it's in the song now. So it's always different. I've had a song that I was falling asleep and was like halfway there, and like the chorus just came to me. You just never, I don't really know. I mean, these days, I think I have to kind of like prioritize my time well. And I don't ever, at this point, really try to sit down and force something out of nothing. That doesn't ever go well for me. That ends up with and that's, I don't do a whole lot of like co-writing. I think cause I'm the bad, like I've tried to co-write with some really good people, but like, I just think I'm not that good at it. Most of the time, some of the co-writes have been great, but because I think I'm not really good. Like I said earlier, I like to craft it. I'm not really good about just sitting out and trying to spurt something out, and it won't end up being good from me. But these days, I think I have to start with like a concept, like whether it's a line or like a general concept for the song, to just start with it. And I don't know what happens after that. It's just something happens, but it's a lot of like playing around with it, and
it's a flow state, it really, I think that's the thing. There's a lot of things in music that are difficult to put words to, but I think that's a big part of it. It's like learning a lot of other skills. Like to me, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and so to me, it's the same kind of thing where it's like you want to be hyper specific with the skills that you're learning. Yeah. Right. So I'm going to do this particular armbar 100 times. I'm going to do this particular variation of that same armbar 100. And then you get to a point where you're just rolling with someone and you're not thinking about those things, but they're there, right? And it's like you can apply that to any skill in the world, right? You want to be hyper specific with the skills that you're learning, and then you just kind of dance with it, and then you can kind of that dancing is the lump sum total of all of the time and energy that you've put into those hyper specific skills. Yes. Mm-hmm. And with songwriting, I think it's the same way. It's like you work on these hyper specific skills of songwriting, but then when it's showtime and that thing pops into your head, you're not worrying about, or in theory, I don't like to think that I'm worrying about any of those things. Yeah. You just let the skill set take over, and the lump sum total of all those skills is whatever, that's what you're gonna come up with. Yeah. And I think that that's where like the fun and play of this is when you aren't inspired in that way, and you sit down and you're like, okay, I need to work on X, Y, and Z so I can hone those particular skills. Mm-hmm. That's where kind of like the rubber meets the road, and some people can put that time in and just bang it out and have this incredible tool belt to work with. Sure, yeah. And other people, it's like, and again, there's not a right or wrong answer there, but I just find that really, really intriguing, how people choose those particular, why this armbar and not that armbar, so to speak. Right, right. Well, I think the song that comes out in the end is a combination of those skills that you've like meticulously, just repetition. And this isn't lyrics too. This is music as well. Like anything is like that. Playing guitars like that, playing pianos like that. Right? Anything is the same. Totally. Yeah. I think the song is it's the combination of those skills and also what you consume.
And this is something I also think
sure.
a lot about. Like, I go through periods where like I swing back and forth. It's kind of like a pendulum type thing where it's like I'll be in a just a state of like all I want to do is like consume, books, podcasts, song albums, and I don't want to put anything out because I just don't think I have any. And then it swings the other way, and I'm like, if I cram one more word into my head, I'm gonna freak out, and I just got to write it all out. And I think that, and I've heard other people talk about this too. This isn't, but yeah, I think it's like you have the skills and you have what you're consuming. And if you're consuming junk, like just social media all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I've noticed in my life. If that's all I take in, I don't really have much to put out. So I do a lot of driving. I try to like read audiobooks and like listen
audiobooks are I discovered audiobooks like a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
And goddamn, they're like the greatest invention of mankind. Oh, it's so good.
They're awesome. I'll read a whole book in a road trip.
It's absolutely incredible. And you just, because there's so much time where you'd spend listening to music or podcasts or whatnot. And I love to read, but there's only so much time in the day where you're going to be able to sit down and actually intake a book.
Yeah.
God, it's so nice. And I actually find that, and I've looked into it, and studies have somehow bore this out, but people retain stuff better when they listen to it as opposed to read it, which is fascinating. Yeah, because I would have thought it's the inverse.
Yeah, you think.
But I guess it's just because it's how we're programmed. We've had language before we've been able to write, actually dictate it down.
It's a great point.
But it's, I love audiobooks. I'm such a sucker for it.
Yeah.
So nice.
Me too. It's what keeps me going. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I totally agree. I mean, I think that all of those things enter into the equation. It's like keeping yourself physically fit. I mean, to me, you can almost compare it to diet, right? Like diet of food, in the sense that if you're just, like you said, if you're just intaking junk
food,
what's going to come out is going to inevitably be junk.
Yeah, what you poop out is going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like if you can just actually take the time, and I think it's almost like part of it is almost just addicting, because it becomes you get or I should say part of it is you just get a taste for it, but also part of it is you get acclimated to your output when you have the right input. Yeah. So like for me, like I love, I love, don't get me wrong, I love podcasts. I love listening to music and whatnot, but I find my best output is when I'm reading a lot, when I'm watching really great cinema, when I'm like, when I'm taking in like, when I'm taking in my fruits and vegetables, so to speak, the output's inevitably better. And so you get addicted to the fact that, I feel like good right now. I feel like the thing that I'm putting out there is something that I like. And I do find creatively, if you, start to, take in the equivalent of like Lay's potato chips every day, the output isn't as good, No, like, sure. and don't get me wrong, like I'll watch Love Island, fuck it, let's go. But it's like my writing's not gonna be great that week, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like if I'm sitting down with a good book, or if I'm watching, like, oh my god, like the Belcourt Theater here in town is playing, I haven't told you this, Brian. They're playing a Kurosawa like marathon for like 2 weeks straight, and I've already told like everyone, I'm like, I'm living in that theater for the next 12 days, and I'm so excited. But like to me, it's like that's great. I'm gonna feel, I know creatively, I'll feel great at the end of that.
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's for you outside of music, what are the facets of art that most impact you? Or what styles of art?
That's a great question. Well, photography is another art form that I create. That was kind of going to be my path before I decided on music. So I love photography, specifically like certain types like photojournalism and kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. There's just certain types of photography that I like. I will say, my wife and I just went, we were fortunate and blessed enough to get to go on a trip to Europe, and we got to go to the Vatican museums.
Oh, wow. Wow. I hear that's unbelievable.
It was insane. Everywhere we went, and there was insane. And then other museums and other places as well. And man, just that, like, specifically like the Renaissance period artwork and just the paintings and the sculptures and everything. It was just very inspiring, and I can't even really tangibly tell you how. Yeah. But just seeing like that other people made this stuff. So I don't know. I do this all the time. You get inspired by something, and I think it's hard to just always channel that into the same medium, like songwriting. Sometimes, like the last week, I've been obsessed with an idea I've had for a book, which I'm not going to say because maybe I'll write it.
We'll talk off camera.
Well, but and then like I've also like a few weeks before that, I was like a screenplay idea or so, and I wish I could paint. Like I can draw a little bit, but I really wish I could paint because I feel like that I would love to be able to use that medium. But yeah, I think I love a lot of the visual arts. With movies, I'm very uncultured. I like watching the junk food movies, and that's what I enjoy.
That's what I am with
Nothing
TV.
wrong with
you know
that.
what I mean?
That's how I am too, honestly. I just like really shitty horror movies and stuff like that.
My family gives me shit. So I love film to death, but my family gives me shit because they'll watch. They're a big film family too, but they'll watch TV, but they'll watch like good TV.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do that. Like film is like what I love, and I love the medium. I love just the form of it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. If I'm gonna watch TV, I'm gonna watch shit TV.
Yeah,
because like that's my like junk food. You know what I mean? Like I can't have both. Like there's not, and there's just not enough time. It's like if I've got 2 hours, I'm not gonna sit down and watch like some TV show, which I'm sure is fantastic. They've been trying to get me to watch for God knows how long. It's like, no, I'm gonna sit down and watch a movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's
well, and I think like I don't know if you guys probably do this too, but like music listening is different for me now than it was when I was younger and I knew less about it. When I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Like when I listen to a song, I'm like thinking about the theory, I'm thinking about the production, I'm thinking about the songwriting. I am kind of almost visualizing what is happening and what went into it, theory and the players and everything, as to the extent that I can in my head.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's kind of, I don't mean to, it's just I do.
It just naturally happens.
And so like if my wife and I are listening to the car, we're having very different experiences.
Yeah, totally.
She like, she's incredibly smart, but not like educated in music.
Not her thing. Yeah.
And so like she, and I kind of almost jealous of that sometimes because, or like she can just listen to some song and just like see it as what it is.
That in and of itself is a skill, and I've tried very hard in my life to retain that skill. Because to me, I just listen to music and I shut. There will be times where I put that hat on and okay, I want to listen that way. But if I'm listening to music, I don't know why this has been something I've cared about my whole life. But like if I'm listening to music, I want to be able to just experience the thing as a whole, and because it's hard. I know some people who have the exact same experience as you, which is like it becomes very, very difficult to take that hat off.
Do you think like listening to music in that mindset, like do you find that has a negative effect on you or a positive effect or neither?
Depends on the day, I think.
Yeah.
Because it makes me very particular about what I listen to.
Yeah.
And so that makes me a not fun person to be around, I think, sometimes.
Can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
And so I think for just me and myself,
you guys are gonna have a conversation after this.
I think for me and myself, if I'm just listening by myself, it's fine. But it is harder to just put on an album and relax to it and take it for face value and just as one whole piece of art rather than pick it apart. And I think if I'm with my wife or with friends, I have to restrain myself with all of my thoughts about it.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's
I do find like being too like much like that can definitely kind of ruin the magic of it a little bit. Yeah. So like, especially after music school, that was something I bet. Just, thinking about music on an
intellectual, because it becomes you're listening, you're only watching it through those goggles.
Yeah. And you're like intellectualizing everything. Right. And I think it can definitely, make it so you lose the spark of love for it or whatever. So lately I make a very conscious effort to like, just not think about it at all and just listen to it for whatever it is and not, but it's still nice to be able to intellectualize it when I want to. Yeah. But I make an effort to not.
That's
most
great.
Times these days.
I'm inspired by you guys. I'm going to work on that because I need to work on that.
It's hard not to. It's hard not to.
It's totally, again, it's a completely separate skill set. It's like, Yeah, I mean, even just like you were talking about co-writing earlier, in my mind, I view that as the same thing. I am absolutely ass at co-writing, and I have no interest in doing it. And I know why. It's because like I have never put any time or I'm sure there's a great many reasons why, but one of which is because I've never put any time into caring, and like some people, and Nashville is such a, we've had so many great songwriters in here that, Nashville is a co-writing town. Mm-hmm. That is the way the sausage is made here. Yeah. For better or for worse, for this kind of music. And and it's like anything else, it's just time put into the act of co-writing itself. Mm-hmm. And it's like, to me, I would rather put that time into sitting at my fucking piano and like, like trying to write for myself. But yeah, I mean, some people are hyper good at that specific thing. Which is, I mean, again, that's a skill in and of itself. But yeah, some people can just like bounce in that. I think a lot of it too, I'm sure, is just personality. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I have written songs with people that you feel as though you're on the same wavelength as, or at least, you can dial into the same station, so to speak. Yeah. That helps a lot. I think
makes a big difference. And you can be like, you could be on the same wavelength, like in a conversation like this. Like we could be vibing. Yeah. And then you sit down to write and you're like, we are very different on the inside.
Oh, for sure. And you find like how it's fun because you find how, you get a peek behind the curtain in some ways as to who someone is. Like I do feel anytime you participate in something that is core to being a person, right?
Yeah.
Like music is, for whatever reason, it's so core to being a person that like if you have a jam at the house, or you go on stage and play with some friends or whatnot, if you're truly in the thing, if you're as present as can be, and you're really everyone is trying to serve the song together. I mean, there's an intimacy there that is so interesting. Like you could have never said two words to the bass player on stage, and you get done with the set, and you're like, oh, that's my buddy. You know what I mean? Like there's something, and I don't know why that is. There's certain things that are like that. I think when you can get into that kind of flow state with whatever it is you're doing, it's such a beautiful thing. Again, like just to contrast to something I love, like the same thing's true with jiu-jitsu. It's like if you roll with someone and you're just you're doing the thing for the sake of doing the thing. It's like you get done with it and you're like, oh no, that guy's my buddy. He's cool. Like and it's, I do think that's probably true of practically everything in life. I just can't see it in those other worlds. You know what I mean? Like, but I bet that's true of a lot of things. If you can be that present in that sort of serving to something, serving towards a common goal of X. Yeah. I think you can have that experience in life, but it's hard because you got to put time in to get that. To get that skill set. But
absolutely. Yeah.
It's so fun though. It's so fun when you're playing music and like, and you're like, oh God, we're doing it. Or actually what in reality, you're not thinking about anything. You're just,
you're just doing it. Yeah. Which, by the way, man, respect for the jiu-jitsu. I have some friends that do that, and I went with
there's
them.
There's some awesome guys out here. Like there's some,
and girls. Yeah. I went and was embarrassed by a girl who one of my female friends just absolutely destroyed me in jiu-jitsu. Awesome. Yeah. I was so sore. It was a good kind of sore afterwards. There was one guy I rolled with that just like was on top of me and just like started pressing his fist into my throat, and I was like,
but you gotta do what you gotta do.
I think he knew it was my first time, and he was showing me how it goes. But
again, I think anything in life, you could use that as an example. You could use music. You could insert anything here. Anytime you're doing something hard, I mean, that's something that I think gets lost in the sauce sometimes when we're talking about this. Music's fucking hard.
Yeah, man.
Like whatever it is you're doing, whether you're a drummer, whether you're a songwriter, whether you're a piano player, a composer, whatever. Songwriting is just, and all facets of music are fucking hard.
Yeah.
And there's just something I respect immensely about someone who has gone through the fire, so to speak, and still does it. Like someone who has put in that time. I think that's amazing. And any time I recognize that in life, I think it's a beautiful thing. And music is interesting because it seems like probably like jujitsu, it seems like, okay, this is something that's easy. I can understand what's supposed to happen here.
Yeah.
Right. And then you sit down and to try to write a song. And if you've never written a song before, you're just going to stare at this blank piece of paper for hours. Like you're not going to know what to do.
I still do that a lot.
No, as do I. But like that, there's something, and I love when that does happen to me because it's such a fantastic, humbling experience when you're like, oh yeah, that's how hard this is.
Yeah.
And again, that's true of anything in music, but I think it sounds stupid. I think it just makes you a better person.
Yeah.
I think suffering through something you like, there's no way it's not going to make you a slightly better person.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like that.
It is.
Where you start off, and that was me. Absolutely. If I look back over the last 7 years, when I moved here, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm gonna do great." And then I was like, "Oh wow, this is really hard." And then we're somewhere over here now.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's something that you have to respect because it takes so much work to get to. I mean, you just think about how precise everything that is happening with music has to be. I mean, it's like a three-dimensional thing. It's like the rhythm and the melody or the chords or whatever and the lyrics, all the things that go into that. Everything has to go just the right way to like produce something that's pleasant, I guess. You know?
Yeah. Like I was telling Brian earlier today, I was this is how fucking dumb I am. I was telling Brian, I was like, you know what I really want to get into that sounds amazing? I want to start playing Irish penny whistle. And Brian's Brian's like, okay.
I have the tin whistle.
Oh really?
Yeah, I have
that's
one.
so fucking cool.
Nice. I am so bad at it.
But in my head, I'm like, because I love sucking at things. I know this sounds stupid, but I love like trying to do something knowing full well I'm going to go into this just atrociously bad, you know? And to me, it's like, that sounds like the next fun thing to be bad at.
Could we start like a tin whistle club or something?
Honestly awesome.
I have one that I got for $5 on Marketplace. It was part of like a homeschool curriculum, and then I think the family was like, "Get this out of my house," and it's not good quality. I would like to get a better quality one to see if I actually could be good at it. Or if it's just me, or if it's the fact that it's $5.
That's something I find all the time. So my day job is I'm a teacher. I teach middle school music.
Oh, and, awesome! I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And one of the things that I think about constantly is actually exactly that, which is, you know, entry level instruments in whatever it is, whether it's guitar or, you know, bass or saxophone or trumpet or whatever. Yeah. It just kind of makes your life inevitably, because of the quality of the instrument, a million times worse. Yeah. And so it's difficult because, you know, on one hand you want to like, you know, you want to help a parent out and be like, yeah, okay, you're not going to get like a $1,500 guitar for your kid who's 2 weeks ago was like, I want to learn how to play, you know, Stairway to Heaven or whatever. But like, and good, learn Stairway to Heaven. But I do always think like, yeah, there is absolutely a component to that which it can kind of handcuff you in a way. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's harder to learn inevitably on a shittier instrument than a nice instrument. And so it's always something that's in my mind for whatever reason. Yeah. But I think that's it's hard. It's hard if you don't already know how to do the thing, and then you have to tackle, you know, that's a whole other kind of hill you have to climb.
But and you may not even know. It's almost like a rite of passage. You just have to like learn on a piece of shit for a while.
No, sure.
Before you get the
Well, it's my Yamaha, my shitty like, you know, 3/4 scale Yamaha that I think my parents finally threw away about 5 years ago is
Man, you were rich. I started on a first act.
Mine was a Court.
A Court, very nice.
It is that paradox of like. The gear doesn't make the musician, but also it can really hinder you if it's not like at least up to a certain standard. I just started teaching. I have one guitar student, which freaks me the heck. I have a lot of respect for you because I'm just like, I do not want to steer this person's life in the wrong direction. But it's really cool. Like that must be a really awesome job. I've had so much fun. I mean, again, Dunning-Kruger, I'm like probably right here like, oh, this is easy. I can do that's 2-3 lessons in. I'm going to be a great teacher. And then I'm going to realize how hard it is. But it's a really rewarding thing, and you learn a lot too, I feel like.
I mean, honestly, selfishly, there's a lot of it that I really, there's a lot I get out of it. For years, I taught an after-school music program, and I did, I would do private lessons throughout the week as well. And then we would do like rehearsals with the groups and stuff. And that was great. I learned a lot in that regard. And now, the school that I'm currently at, we don't do any one-on-one lessons. It's all, classroom kind of stuff. And I teach I teach like 3 different classes through like 4 different grades. So I teach a lot of different things, which is nice. But it is, it is a different, even teaching in that regard is, hyper specific. Teaching one-on-one when there's just 2 of you in a room and somebody wants to learn how to play guitar is so different than having a class full of people, and you have to somehow convey to this classroom, how a major scale works. I mean, those are both skills that I've spent a lot of time on in life, but they're completely different skills at the same time. And you think that there's a lot of overlap there. It's like, yeah, maybe in some regards, but like, not really. Man,
I have a lot of respect for you.
It's fun. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is just, like most things in life, it's sort of the energy you bring to the thing. There's obviously days, everyone's going to have shitty days, and there's going to be days where it takes more out of you than other days. Yeah. But I get to play music all day. My awesome. Office has a grand piano, and like, I'm a happy guy. You know what I mean? So like, that's really nice. But no, I think a lot of it is just what you bring, the energy you bring to the equation. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just like happiness in general. I mean, as silly as it sounds, because it seems like such a simple solution. But I mean, it's like just waking up every day and choosing to be happy. It's like, okay, or you just choose the alternative. It's like, okay, well, but no, it's really fun, and I like it a lot. I'm very lucky. The kids are awesome. So it keeps it entertaining. We just went back. Well, Friday was like our first day back for the teachers, so we're getting rolling again. So it's going to be exciting. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I do love teaching. It's a fun thing, and I do think it makes you better. Like whatever it is that you're teaching, just systematically to some degree or another, sitting with that particular thing and having to not only understand it deep enough to be able to express that to another person, but to again systematically be able to come up with that sequence that will get that person there, I think is huge. I think being able to break down something, not just to the level of nuts and bolts, but then to be able to figure out, okay, what bolt do I show you first? Right. What nut do I show you first? And what comes after that? Yeah. That's huge. And I think that skill is transferable to other things. And that skill of teaching, I think that's why so many people like teaching is we've been talking about all these sort of seemingly disparate skills. I think the skill of teaching is something that is so applicable to everything in life, because once you get that systematic breakdown of, okay, here's the thing I'm trying to teach, here are the core components, here's the order in which I'm going to introduce those components, that is analogous to anything in life. So I think that's part of the reason why I like doing it, is it just you get good at that, and you can get good at a lot of things much quicker.
And you have to be patient and a good communicator, and those two skills will get you.
And that's what this podcast is for, baby. Let's go now.
Those will get you a long way. Those are good things to have.
Yeah, it's again, life is there's worse things to do in life than what all of us are doing. So I can't complain.
Yeah.
So you just again to kind of pivot hard again. So you had an EP come out a handful of years ago, and then you just put your record came out 2022.
I think so. Yeah.
So that's got some. I was listening to that this week. That's got some really cool stuff on it.
Thank you, man.
Where are you now in the sort of, birth cycle of new music? Where are you with the next thing?
Trying to save money.
Because in my head, I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm like 2022. Okay, that means that somewhere the wheels are turning, even if it's just the writing process or where are you right now with the sort of the next batch of stuff that you want to go for?
Yeah. I was on a roll there from the EP was 2020, which that was hilarious timing. I put that out like March 14th, 2020.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I had an EP release show where we were like bumping elbows, and then everybody never saw each other again. But yeah, so it was kind of like one thing the next at the beginning there, the EP, then the full length album from the studio. I did a single, Prairie Land, which was produced by Chris Weisbecker.
Oh, actually. Very cool. Love Chris.
You guys had him on, right?
Yeah. I love Chris to death.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then where we're at now is after Prairie Land, I got engaged and married, which was
congratulations.
Just thank you. Yeah, just the most amazing thing that's ever happened in my life. And so I had to kind of like ramp down the music creation for just a minute with all the wedding planning and now
what the hell?
No. Now I'm kind of at a place where I'm kind of starting to ramp back up, find the balance between things. I have maybe enough songs right now for like half an album that I would put on an album that I've written. Yeah. So it's kind of just been a slow process of writing. Again, like I said, I hate trying to sit down and force something out. I really want to, which is why I'm not a good commercial songwriter, because I don't want to write unless I'm inspired to write, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense.
So I think that's part of it. I think it's just been like, okay, well, I do need to sit down and do it more and maybe find better ways to find that inspiration. But yeah, so I'm just kind of like slowly saving up songs and money.
I love it.
And whenever I have, and we're kind of about halfway to the full length album on both of those things right now.
Nice,
so
nice.
I hope that it won't take me another 3 years to get to the other half, but we'll see.
Didn't you write a song with Mal on her last record?
I did, yeah.
Tell me about that. So Mallory Eagle, who Brian and I both adore. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, me too. Yeah, she is incredible. So that was back. We wrote that song years ago. Before, I mean, she's been sitting on it for a while. We wrote that when she lived here in Nashville still. I think last I checked, she's still in Oakland.
Which song was it?
Better Man.
Better Man. Okay.
Yeah, Better Man.
I didn't realize that you wrote Better Man with her.
Yeah.
I am just.
Did she do that
I'm sorry. I mean, I've heard her play that a million times. I can't remember if she played this. This is how many of these fucking things we do, Brian. Jesus Christ, I can't remember. I don't think she played Better Man when she was here.
Okay. Yeah, that's
awesome. Hell yeah.
No, it was fun. It was really funny. We're both from Oklahoma, and she invited me over to her place. And while we were writing that song, tornado sirens started going off, and we were just like, of course. I feel like we two Okies get together to make music, and tornadoes happen. But what I remember from that session was I did not a lot. I really did not contribute that much to that song. I really want to make sure Mallory gets enough credit there. Like she kind of started forming the song, and I was very new to co-write. I mean, I was new to town and new to life at that point. I was probably like 19 or 20 maybe at that time. And now I'm, old and wise, and I'm 25.
Exactly.
And I really felt like I was just her therapist, and she was just venting about this guy. And I was just like, yeah, write that down. And I mean, that's really and maybe she needed me to be there to do that.
And and you never know. I mean, like, as much as you're sort of diminishing your part in the equation there, having that other person in the room to be able to bounce ideas off of and to sort of shape the direction. I mean, that can be huge if you're trying to sit down and write with someone. Like, don't diminish that too much. There's something there, Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's great. I love her sound and everything she's doing. And
she's the best. I love that girl. I'm so glad we could have her on here, because I mean, we'll have to anytime Mal's in town. Come on, because we got to hang. I'm curious, who are some people, even outside of the country world, who are some favorite songwriters of yours?
Oh man, well, as far as when I'm thinking of songwriters, I really am thinking more in the country world. Like I said, I love listening to like hard rock, but not as much for the songwriting, more for the emotion.
Yeah.
And the so as far as songwriters I look up to, I think they'd both be in the country world. But my all-time favorite band is the Turnpike Troubadours.
Good choice. Good choice.
And I think, I don't know if it's something about, I mean, we're both from Eastern Oklahoma, and I just think maybe that I just get what they put out. I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I've always ever since I kind of found them when I was in high school. And again, it was the same thing. At first I was drawn to their sound. Mm-hmm. I didn't give a crap what he was singing about. I really was just like, I've never heard, when I first found them, I'd never heard like a really cranked up guitar and a fiddle kind of on the same song in a way that wasn't cheesy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
It's very tasteful what they do, in my opinion. And I loved that. I just love that so much. Their Diamonds and Gasoline record, every freaking song. I love every song they've ever put out. And I cannot say that for anybody else. And so found them through the sound. And then it was like, wow, like Evan Felker is an incredible songwriter. R.C. Edwards also has written some really great songs by them. And a few other people. I think John Fulbright has had some co-writes. And there's some other people. But everybody in that world that they collaborate with, but it's, you know, just, it's just so good. Yeah. And Evan Felker, really, I love when you read interviews with like Evan Felker and RC, they're like, yeah, our inspirations are like they'll be like Woody Guthrie and Ernest Hemingway.
Hey, that's a good duo right there.
Yeah. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. So I would say specifically Evan Felker, I love just his lyrical style and the way he crafts it. And then I also really, really respect Chris Stapleton. I'm not as much these days really as into the kind of commercial country world. Mm-hmm. I just respect him, I think, all around. Like, I think he's got the like trifecta of like guitar player, singer, songwriter, and he's like really good at all of those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's hard to find in the sort of popular music world to see. So to find someone in the popular music world who's good at any of those things is amazing. But when someone is that multifaceted, that's pretty impressive.
And I actually found him first in my music listening journey, and then found the Steel Drivers.
Oh, okay.
Who are also one of my favorite bands. I remember being in high school and I was in a restaurant, and I remember actually texting my buddy, who we were both Chris Stapleton fans, big on it at the time. He was just putting out like Traveler and all that kind of stuff at that time. And I was like, dude, you've got to listen to this bluegrass band I found. It's like if Chris Stapleton was in a bluegrass band. And I don't know why I hadn't looked on Wikipedia or something. Yeah. I had no idea.
That's funny.
But anyway, those two are the two people that come to mind. But
what do you think it is about, again, any kind of art, this doesn't even have to be limited to songwriting, that grabs you? Why do you think certain art, because this is something I meditate on a lot. Why do you think it is that certain art is compelling to you and other art isn't? Or
I don't know.
Maybe like what makes compelling art might be a better way of saying that.
For me, I think I like art that gives me a dopamine hit, really. I think but I mean, really, truly, there's just some things. It can be a painting or a photograph or a song that just, this sounds so cliche, but it just like, you really feel it deep down. There's like a physical reaction that I have somewhere in my chest when I hear certain things that hit me a certain way. And sometimes it may not even be sometimes it's because I relate to it. And sometimes it's just like profound and beautiful. Mm-hmm. I really think to be general, I mean, I think that art has a lot of different purposes. I mean, there's art for just the sake of expression, just for beauty. There's art for worship. There's art for storytelling. And I think all those different things can hit you in different ways, you know? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's really an answer.
I think it is. I mean, it's a difficult, art serves a great many roles in our lives. Trying to break it down to those specifics can be difficult. I think that for myself, I mean, I know that all of those different attributes of art I interplay with on one level or another,
right.
You know. But I do think that it's, when I sit and think, it's one of those things where it's kind of like songwriting. When we were talking about this earlier, you can't really you can step back and look at the patterns that you might find, but to do it to step into it and to view it through that prism when you're actually going through the process it doesn't really work. I think like for myself, I can look at art that is compelling to me, or I can look at my own art when I step back and I can look at what are the patterns that I see here that are consistent throughout all of these different things. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that that's the way that I'm computing it when I'm actually sitting down creating something. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. When you're in that flow state doing whatever, those things aren't entering into the equation. But when you do back up, you can see, oh, that armbar was done this way. You know what I mean? Like,
way in
exactly.
That,
like to me, I think when I look at a lot of art that's compelling to me, and this isn't whole cloth, but I think a lot of art I see this pattern in, there's a great juxtaposition to true art. I mean, whether it's a great Hemingway novel or whether it's a great song by John Prine or whomever, there's something about, and you see this in visual art too, there's something about what is seemingly two disparate things that are being forced together, and your mind is having to make that dissection, I think is something that is really compelling in art. And I think because it forces you to view something from a different angle. Yeah. I mean, and I find that in, if you're sitting down songwriting, you can kind of break that down to, on the musical level, right? It's maybe more easy to understand. If I'm sitting down and composing a piece of music, okay, the A section is kind of slow and the harmony is very spread out. Maybe for the B section, I want something that's quicker. I want something where the harmony is going to shift faster. I want maybe the melody to move along at a quicker pace, etc. Those things are easier to grasp. But when you're talking about narrative, it can be difficult because it's like, how do I juxtapose the narrative in the A section versus whatever is going to be said in the B section? And again, it's not something that you're conscious of in the act of doing the thing. Right. It's just those patterns that you see afterwards. I mean, like, again, like you could use a great many examples, but even just a song like, Far From Me by John Prine, right? Like the narrative of that song is very clear what's happening, right? The cafe was closing on a warm summer night. Kathy was cleaning the spoons. A June bug flew from the warmth it once knew, and I wished for once I weren't right? Like that. That and the whole narrative there is very, there's a clear understanding to, as clear as can be in art as to what's happening. But then when you get to something like the chorus, there's a moment of you as a listener, whereas on first listen or, first 1,000 listens or whatever, you may not see what that correlation is, right. But then, there's something beautiful about the process of mulling over what is that, like why do these two seemingly independent ideas, why is that marriage work? It's so strange, and I find that that's true in most art that is compelling to me, whatever medium it's in, right? Whether it's film, whether it's a novel, whether it's song, to be able to go from that narrative to or that chord progression, melody, etc., to something that seemingly knocks up against it is really powerful, I think. And I don't know why that is, but I do find it's consistent. And that was a really long tangent, but
no, that's awesome. I've never really thought about that before. I love that. I don't know. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's just one of those patterns where once you see that, it's very difficult to unsee that in art. Yeah. You could look at you can look at something like, even just visual art, right? Like Andy Warhol's probably a very good example of this. Something where you can see there's this strange juxtaposition of, here is someone who is incredibly skilled at their particular field, and yet we're painting a soup can. When you see that kind of, when there is that weird clash of ideas, there's something that like sits in the mind for whatever reason. It like bores in there. Yeah. Whereas, ain't it funny how an old broken bottle looks just like a diamond ring, but it's far, far from me. And you don't know why. Like, why does that sit with that? It's very difficult to articulate, and I'm probably doing a poor job of it. But I think it's very present in every facet of art.
Yeah, I think. so I think there's like the kind of the juxtaposed narratives, and then there's also something. I was talking about this with a guy named Scotty Inkley recently. He's a touring guitarist, really talented guitarist, and we just ran into each other at Mas Tacos, and we were chatting. But
I ate some Mas Tacos
I
tonight.
freaking love Mas Tacos. But I was talking about, you know, I think I want like my next project to kind of be like Handyman as kind of a kind of upbeat song. Sometimes I get a little bogged down with all the sad songs, you know, and I have my fair share of those too. I really want to make a project that's like people can just dance to and like it's upbeat and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, I'm struggling with how to do that without making a bunch of cheesy, happy songs. And he was like, you know, just you can have the lyrics be happy and the song sound not that way. The song could sound a little bit more melancholy. Or on the flip side, you could have a really
I like the flip
upbeat,
side. That's my favorite.
I like the flip side too.
That's my favorite kind of song right there.
The flip side where it's really upbeat, but it's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
The Turnpike Troubadours, I think, not to bring them up again, but that's something I've always liked about them. They've got some songs where it's like, I could like kick through a door, just like upbeat, just, you know, it's just like awesome, get you going. And then he's singing about like running into his long lost love in the aisle of the grocery store with her new husband and child, you know.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
It's a pattern. I think once you find it in music, it's very, or in just in art in general, it's very difficult to unsee it. But it's not just narrative. It is even things as sort of basic and core as that. But it's a fun thing to do with one's life. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a bad way to, you know, spend a day or spend your life working on this shit. But so that's exciting that it seems like you're kind of you're in that sort of rev up stage for what the next thing is. Yeah.
Trying to figure out exactly what the next. I want it to be an album. I really want to put out a full length album next. I want what I put out next to be kind of my artist defining project. I think Hickory Avenue, my current album that I have out, I love it. I'm happy with it. And at the time, it was kind of intentionally not cohesive. There's like some like really upbeat like rock kind of songs on there, and then there's some like acoustic stuff, and I think that's what I wanted at the time. I think now I want something a little more cohesive and really something that's kind of in that something people can dance to, something that's kind of honky tonkin, but also honest, you know. And so we'll see what comes out of that.
I love it. I'm excited to hear it, dude. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you guys.
The song sounded fucking great.
Time.
This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to cover. We went all over the place. We went from, you know, snake charming to songwriting. So this was quite the fun one. But hell yeah, dude. I appreciate you doing this. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. We'll have you back sometime soon.
I'd love to.
Definitely. When the new album comes out, man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about Fish next time.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, even better. Oh man, there you go.
Oh yeah, we didn't get into the
that's
catfish hauling.
That's fine. That's
This was so great.
That's for next time.
I just appreciate it so much. This is so much fun.
I had a blast. I like talking, so this is
that's why we do this thing. You know, it's a lot of fun. Actually, before you get up, can we grab just a couple pictures? Of you?
Yeah.